Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to the McIntosh County Board of Education's public hearing on the millage number 2, August 11th, 2022. Please stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Our Father God, we do thank you and praise you once again for this day. We thank you for your many blessings. We ask your continued blessings upon the school system and your guidance. These blessings we ask in your Son Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item number 3 is adoption of the public hearing meeting agenda. Can I have a motion? Motion by Mr. McIver, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hewitt. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries 4-0. All right.
All right, so no change in the information that we talked about today. I did tell you we do some calculations, and so I'm just going to hand you a brief sheet to look at. See that one more? So, the question was, how much of a difference would it make? So when we talked about that, the potential increase in taxes for somebody at 16.972 for a $75,000 home, we advertised that was $70.62. So that basically equates to $5.89 a month if it's in escrow. Now, and you keep going down, you'll see all of those numbers. If you reduced it to 16.5, which is what I was asked, you basically further reduce those numbers, and then the difference is the really big part of this to look at. The reduction from 16.972 to 16.5 would be a reduction of $1.18, $1.57, and $3.15 a month. It's not. It's de minimis. It's a very small amount of difference that it would make. But the overall number, when you take a look at that compared to the population that pays taxes, would equate to $212,000 difference in what we would potentially collect. The bad part about how we have to advertise this is this. If your home value didn't change, you're not paying any greater amount than you paid last year because it's 16.972. It is what it is. If your home value went up a percentage, whatever that is, now not everybody went up by 20%, not everybody went by 30%, some of them actually went down, etc. That's the calculation. What we do is we kind of figure out, they come out and say the aggregate number is this, and this is what your numbers would equate to, and we have to show the difference between, the millage rate if we roll back to capture the same amount of money. And as we mentioned already, recession, appeals, predictability, that's not a lot of money that anybody would materially see a difference in. It's some, but it's not a huge amount of money if we were rolled back to 16.5. But we then lose that 200 and some thousand as an aggregate number of collection. And as we mentioned, in 2008 or 9 when that recession hit, I mean, it was no notice. Bam! You got to start cutting. You got to do everything. That's concerning. But I did a lot of the math just based on changes that would occur in a home that might go up by 10% or 20% or whatever. But the overall aggregate number that I calculated was like 11% change in the digest from that 68 million. That's a hard number to put your arms around because, like I said, it's inflationary. It's based on them changing what they believe home sales should be, not necessarily even based on previous home sale ratio studies, because we get a ratio study. Our ratio study showed that they were undervaluing homes by a little over 4%, undervaluing by 4%. Well, now we went the whole different direction, and values of homes went up from 75 to 110 as an average. That's a huge jump, but that's based on potential sales of homes. Well, that can change in a dime for next year as well. I don't know. It's a very long, drawn-out, convoluted process. I don't see any caravans.
No, me either.
So, Dr. Fuller, so what you are actually saying is, for me to understand that when people do ask, the millage rate is the same, and the only way that we would see a difference in maybe property tax or tax increase is the value of the home went up.
If the value of the home went up and you don't have any other exemptions that you qualify for, but if it truly went up, that, whatever that number is, multiply that by 1,000, or 40%, okay? And that gives you the fair market value that they use for taxes. So that, whatever that number is, divided by 1,000, because that's what a mill is, and then you multiply that by the millage rate. Okay, so in essence, just for an example of a $100,000 home, you take that at 40% fair market value, that turns out to end up, when you divide it by 1,000, 40. So you use 40 times 16.972 is $678. So, well, no, that's what they would pay in taxes. That's what they would have paid last year.
Oh, God.
That's what they would pay this year if their home value didn't change.
Yeah, it didn't change.
Now,
Correct.
if we rolled it back, then it's multiplied by 14.618, which is huge change for us as an aggregate, and that would reduce their amount of pay by $584. So you can't, it's not, the math doesn't apply to everybody the same way. The formula does, but if your home value didn't change, it's the same as whatever you had last year. And in many of this is only, the way that this happens is on existing homes, new homes, things of that nature, second homes. Those are all totally different on how this works.
Well, and the bad thing for us is all of this takes place across town.
That's right.
You know, all of this figuring and adding and counting and pulling numbers here and putting them there, it all happens over there, and we just, that's the bad thing.
That's what I was saying when Dr. Poulos was saying about the guy that was giving them the numbers and then standing there changing the numbers. I mean, who is looking over
He
that?
texted me when I asked him for the numbers, says, oops, I sent you last year's. Well, that wasn't last year's number either.
So that's what I'm saying, so who's governing
Him.
that? Him, exactly.
There's a
With
board that
numbers.
does that.
What?
A board.
And so what the board said?
Well,
They trust
Well,
him.
according to who's on the board.
well, that's the whole lawsuit that's taking place
Yeah, that's a lawsuit.
I got you.
in the county right now.
So it sounds like the board's not doing what they're supposed to.
I can't say that, Fred, and I'm just telling you what I know, and Tammy and I both have experienced it. I mean, and it's not personal by any means, but it does impact on the decisions that go into this.
Well, and, you know, and maybe their board doesn't really even fully understand it either.
That's what I'm
You
saying,
know.
I'd like to know who's, I guess I have to do my research and see who's on the board, and then I will figure out what the problem is.
My fear is, and I've said this, is that that 41 million we were told last year that changed like that to 8. What happens if this 69 million changes to 9? I mean, we don't know.
You know?
No, you don't, and that's the bad thing. Well, and we could come in here next week and there'd be a totally different set of numbers if he's changed them by next week.
Thursday.
Who knows?
Anybody have any questions on the sheet that I handed out, or any other questions on any of this?
No.
Madam Chair, I just recommend we sit around till 6:10-ish.
Okay.
Well, we got
3
one more
seconds.
minute.
Oh.
At 6:10.
You got time for one more play.
Did anybody get to go over and look at the Boys and Girls Club? Did y'all get a chance?
I didn't.
I didn't either.
We went to lunch
Monday.
and then
Middle school played
we were all the way out.
tonight.
He went back to work.
I thought the middle school team played tonight. I thought it was just the high school going.
I don't know.
Is middle school football playing tonight?
No.
Not tonight. Okay, I didn't think so.
They're all.
It's just the high school tomorrow.
They're getting a pictures taken tonight.
Okay, I got it.
This is a greet and meet tonight
Oh, that's
Meet and
right.
greet
Yeah, I saw that.
at the high school
Meet and
for the
greet,
high
yeah.
school.
That'll be
That's what it is, that's right.
Yeah, I saw the cars, a lot of cars.
Meet football players.
Oh, okay.
Didn't realize that either, but a lot going on with this spot meeting.
Well, we're at 6:11. I don't see any
Anybody
cars,
have
I
any
don't see anybody.
objections?
Motion.
Y'all wanna stay? Wanna stay longer? Y'all wanna stay? I know, me, y'all. What, y'all wanna put in 12 hours today?
Make that extra money.
All right.
Stay at 6:15, it don't matter to me.
Nobody has anything, we're adjourned.
All right.